Richard Wallace is an extreme hoarder who lives in squalor.
Someone said to me the other day, did I live here? I said, no, I exist here.
For years, he was shunned by his village. And relations hit an all-time low when they started to fence him in.
There are times I walk past it and I think, I wonder if a match would have any effect, but it probably needs a bit of gasoline as well.
Even professional help couldn't change Richard.
And I mean, even like if he fell over and broke his leg, or how's he going to get out?
But things improved last summer when local gardener Andy Honey got involved.
Yeah, I'd willingly give him half a day, a couple of lads.
6 months on, and progress has stalled.
If you could let it just that go, I'd feel like we've achieved.
Go on.
No, well, all right, put it in there if you're that keen on it.
But in the village, people have become suspicious and are questioning Andy's motives.
People have accused me, not to my face, but of being devious.
Andy Honey's quite sort of ruthless. He's an opportunist.
Last year, the picture-perfect village of Westcott went through a mini revolution.
Because this is the property of the gentleman in question.
At the heart of the problem was lifelong resident Richard Wallace, a chronic hoarder.
But this is where it gets complicated just here. You watch me and sort of try and imitate me, OK? Get your leg through like that. Lean back that way. Right, OK, you watching me? And then go through there like that and sort of lay yourself, spread your load out so that you can slide through like that, OK? Total and absolute utter madness, and I'm the first to admit it.
For 34 years, Richard kept every item he owned to one day catalogue and document.
The long-term objective is to construct and maintain an archive of papers and magazines. And I know you can get newspaper libraries as such, but I was intending to scan the various information into a computer so that I could then access all the information electronically.
His collection not only filled every room, it included 17 cars and was spread over 5 garages and Richard's second house, a 3-bedroom semi.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to remember that 34 years' worth of papers and magazines do take up quite a lot of space.
Inside his home, Richard's hoarding threatened his own survival.
Eggs. Grill tap going on now. It'll go hiss in a minute. You hear it go hiss? Here's the match. That annoys me when it doesn't do that. Here we go now. Like that. You have to find a gap big enough to accommodate the tray and sort of wriggle it through. OK, now I'm going to have to use my momentum to get forward like that. The whole procedure takes about 3/4 of an hour. The trouble is the calorific content of the meal does not equal the amount of energy I spend getting it.
Backed by residents, the council ordered Richard to clear his garden. But Richard appealed, represented himself, and won.
It is an eyesore. We can see behind you. Your neighbours have nicknamed you Stig of the Dump. Can you understand their anger?
When he got away with it, people were screaming blue bloody murder.
With Richard struggling to cope, a local landscape gardener offered him a hand.
Sorry to sound rude, because obviously I've not been there. Whereabouts is your actual front door? Is it up this way?
Andy Honey became a friend.
I know it's a stupid question. Where shall I put this?
Do you really want me to tell you?
And called on the people of Westcott to help.
I'm hoping today that we're going to get a fair few turn up so he can, feel that he's a bit more part of the community.
And it's been a source of great contention, but it's actually been great that we can actually have a chance to mend that and show that there are people in the village who do care.
By late summer, over 60 tons of rubbish was thrown out.
I wouldn't expect people to, to give up their time for little old me, as it were. I got myself into this mess, and so it's really down to me to get myself out of it.
Richard allowed his garden to be cleared. but struggled to let go of anything from inside the house.
That's rubbish, though, isn't it? You're happy with that one to go?
No, because it's got bits and pieces on it.
There's nothing there worth keeping. Spares for what? For another umbrella that's that size? If you can't part with that, then how are we going to part with other stuff here?
Now that it's all laid bare like this, I can see the stupidity of it and this medical condition known as hoarding. And, I mean, how can you fail to recognise where you're going wrong with this mess? I mean, it's just indescribable. I really am.
I'm worried about it. It is. Look at it.
Richard decided to change, but he now needs to confront the vast collection filling his home. Three months on, and Richard Wallace's house is a work in progress.
The whole place is transforming to the benefit of everyone, and certainly Richard Wallace. He himself is a changed character.
When you look at it, you can see that one time it was quite an attractive garden, wasn't it? It'd be great to get that looking like a garden again, rather than the Mill Valley tip.
There's a lot of questions in the village as to who's paying for the transport to get all this rubbish out. It's cost this council a lot of money. We shouldn't have to be paying. That's the main thing. That's what hurts a lot of people.
I don't like the problems he's causing, but perhaps I understand a bit more now that he can't help it.
Andy Honey is still helping. And last week, a member of the church offered to pay him to work with Richard for 20 days, in the hope of getting a breakthrough.
Richard, it's Andy. Are you there? Maybe he's in the bathroom. Richard? Hello, mate. How you doing? You in the kitchen? Ah. I'll see you in a bit. They're going to smell nice, aren't they? Look at that little bit of cream and yogurt at the bottom of some of them.
With little progress made inside, Andy wants to try a different approach.
I think he's got to start letting me make some decisions for him, because he struggles with making decisions, and I'm not going to say let's chuck it all away, which he'll think I am, but he has to be pushed. Got their muscles pumped up, ready for a bit of clearing out?
No.
What, no, not ready to do some clearing out, or no, well, they're not pumped up?
Both.
We've got to get into your sitting room to get them windows open. So let me have a little go. Just give me a day.
You're not going to achieve anything, Andy.
Well, we'll see at the end of the day. Let me prove you wrong.
I don't want that stuff touched in there at the moment.
The hallway is the only area Richard will allow to be cleared, but only under close supervision.
Yeah, all I was going to do was literally move this little pile here and put them up there.
Yeah, well, it's a pile which I don't really want there. You see, that's the point.
You don't want that pile up there?
No, not because that's why it's there. Because you see, it'll go somewhere eventually, but not there.
I know.
Well,
I just stress you out.
I know.
But we've got to get somewhere, haven't we?
Not necessarily.
I've not got anywhere with you up to now. Not in a nice way. I mean, yes, there have been improvements, but let's keep it rolling.
I'm happy to do certain things, but not necessarily at this spot, at this juncture.
Shall we put that in the bin?
No, you see, this is all you want to do, is just bin everything. I don't want anything like that.
Yeah, but
you see,
what are you ever going to do with that, Richard? See, if you could let it just that go, I'd feel like we've achieved.
Well, I mean,
it's past its best. It's,
I mean,
you know,
I don't know. Well, it's a weird sort of like a plastic shape with that sort of stuff on it, isn't it? I mean, you say it's past it. Well, where is it past it exactly?
Well, it's going
just,
bald. It's its nose has sort of moved across its face where it shouldn't be. Go on.
No, well, all right, put it in there if you're that keen on it. But I mean, you know.
Oh, I am. That's great. I mean, that's the first time you've ever put anything.
Well, I mean, only because you want to keep on about it. I mean, throw it away. I don't care what you do with it particularly.
Lovely.
But you're not going to get anywhere just by just taking on each individual item and saying, chuck it, chuck it, chuck it, chuck it, just to create space.
You change your mind the whole time because I know why, because you're feeling this massive pressure of doing something you don't want to do, and it's going against your gut feeling.
At this juncture, at this speed.
I can't explain the frustration I feel at times, other than it's immense.
You just keep plugging away at him. I think it's the only way it's ever going to work. Otherwise, I might as well just give up and walk away now.
Richard's resistance to change means that he continues to live with some extraordinary dangers.
Andy's concerned about this leaning tower here, and so am I, because it's getting worse and worse. Andy refers to it as the tunnel of death because it's gradually creeping over to the point where it's a bit worrying. I know it is serious, and I don't like it. I know very well what will happen. As soon as you start to disturb it, then the whole lot will just collapse.
After years of hoarding, Richard Wallace is trying to get his life back on track. People in the village are cooking him meals, but conditions inside the bungalow remain as difficult as ever.
We only just fit in here now. Everything's beginning to sort of do this. Psychologically, it feels as though it's coming in on me, and I believe it is to a certain extent actually physically moving, but possibly I'm putting my weight back on, and that makes it feel worse, but I don't know.
In the kitchen, mountains of packaging and papers have created the death tunnel.
You do have to be a bit of a contortionist to get that particular manoeuvre. Well, I didn't design it like that, it's just how it has evolved, because when I put it there, it was, well, it wasn't a particularly good idea just to stack the papers up there, to be honest, but I didn't cause it to lean as such, and it's just done that of its own volition.
The stacks of papers split Richard's kitchen in two, so the only way he can get from his sink to the stove is to crawl under them.
Fortunately, the base of it is sloping, and it gives you a chance to get your head underneath it, and you have to go forward like that. Oh. Sometimes I can do it quite quickly. Oh. Right, there we go.
Several times a day, Richard needs to pass through the death tunnel. But with the papers subsiding, they could go at any moment.
Well, the papers I'm concerned about are particularly this bit, this section here. So yes, I'm a bit concerned about it. I cook my eggs and make toast here. When it starts to go, it does make a particular noise, and because I'm sort of half expecting it, I think I would sort of deflect myself and providing it doesn't hit you on the head, I mean, it can compress the rest of your body and you can wriggle yourself out of it if it should go. I'll have to put a mirror up here so I can watch it. I suppose that would be one thing.
4 months on from emptying his porch, Richard's home remains as packed as ever.
You chuck that in just so I've got it for the lights.
Andy runs his own business and has a young family, but Richard has become a large part of his life.
Hello. Hello. Is your dad in?
Yeah.
He's had a few sleepovers. He stayed over, I think, three, 4 times. Hoping the more he sleeps in the bed, the more incentive I'll give him to get his bedroom cleared.
Remember what Richard taught you last time? Ready, go.
I enjoy his company, his humour, and actually I get more satisfaction helping Richard than I do from my own work.
Hey Richard, you want to put it on the rubbish on it last time?
Yeah, she was.
Richard's family was once one of the most prosperous in the village, so he has a wealth of storage space, including the neighbouring 3-bedroom semi. But this particular property is about to be renovated.
As a family, we're going to move into Richard's other property, the semi-detached house. We can't afford to stay where we are. Well, we can afford, but it's just draining all our money. So I'm going to clear it out, and then we're going to make it habitable.
It's got character, this house, Richard.
Oh, I know. It's just slightly overfull, that's all.
We've got to invest a lot of money at the beginning. Well, new kitchen, new bathroom, completely decorate right the way through. So once we've paid for that, our aim is that every month while we're in there, rather than paying him rent, what he owes us for putting it right, we'll just bring the total down.
In Westcott, this news has raised a few eyebrows.
Andy Honey's quite sort of ruthless. He's an opportunist.
It tarnishes it a little bit. I hope he's not doing it for his own good. I'm sure. Actually, I know. No, I'm sure he isn't.
The guy has done Richard a lot of good, and if you can keep an eye on him in the future, so much the better for both. Yeah, simple.
There's only just one comment that I have heard is that he wouldn't be doing it for nothing. There's something in it somewhere. And that's all I'm going to say.
People have accused me, not to my face, but of being devious. The standard thing for a lot of people is they don't do voluntary work. And also, we'll always be there, so if he's got any problems or we think, hang on, we've not seen him for a couple of days, like you would with any of your neighbours, just generally keep an eye on him.
I don't think Andy's trying to take advantage of me particularly. No, in fact, I'm sure he isn't. As a concept, what he's trying to do is, I see nothing wrong with it. We've got an additional problem as to what we do with the existing content, that's all.
The semi is not Richard's only property that needs urgent work. In the kitchen, the death tunnel is near the point of collapse.
It's been about 5 months since I've been through the death tunnel and to the far side of the house.
It's got slightly worse then.
Slightly worse. Let's go and see the understatement of the year.
This is only the third time Andy has gone beyond the front door. And he's confronted by the full extent of Richard's packaging obsession.
Do you really think the packaging is that essential?
Well, no, it's not essential. It just happens to be here because there's nowhere else to put it, that's all.
That's what we have rubbish collections for.
And
I can't see how you can justify keeping something like that. You know...
Well, I don't want it, but I don't want to deal with it on an individual basis.
There's no reason why we just can't put all of the packaging into bin liners, as we see.
But it's not getting in the way at the moment, is it?
Of course it's getting in the way.
Because we're just dealing with this. We're just dealing with that. That's all we're dealing with. It's surprising how heavy that is, you see. And it is...
That's going to go. Do you want me to go the other side and push that back to you?
I know what's happening. Don't try doing it, Andy. There we go. That's all right. That's it. That's okay.
Well, the only good thing, at least you weren't underneath it.
No, well, we're doing it in a controlled, semi-controlled way, aren't we?
Controlled?
I've got my limits, and that was it.
Do you know what I really want to do at the moment, Richard? Is kick that window through and just push all them boxes and crap out there.
Yes, well...
I know it's not the right answer. You've just...
Don't try and analyse it too much, because it'll do your head in.
Andy now wants to see what other hazards Richard faces in his home.
That has got to be the most unsafe thing. Do you actually do your toast under there?
Yes. Well, the toast is perfectly edible. Do you want me to do your piece?
Oh. Where is your bed, that side?
Well, there are two beds in here, underneath there and underneath here.
No, this has got more like a rabbit warren. I'm sure it wasn't this tight.
I always feel a bit uncomfortable leaving him. You forget a little bit how bad it is. It's been a bit of an awakener for me again today.
We really got to address lack of storage facility outside before we take things much further, because it's getting a bit silly just shifting stuff out there for the sake of it when it could stay in here for a little bit longer.
In need of some professional support, Andy contacted the local NHS mental health team to help push things along. Led by clinical psychologist Sophie Holmes, they visit Richard to make a full assessment.
Hi, Richard.
Hello.
There are situations where we do have to forcibly go in, and I think that is something we try and avoid at all costs. You don't work like that as a psychologist. You're not there to be telling people what to do or to be prompting them. I mean, I might advise about how somebody might go about making a decision, But I would really hesitate from advising somebody about where they might want to clear out next or what might be the thing to do next.
Their meeting is held in private, and Richard is offered a course of therapy.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't consider myself as being that mentally deranged or ill, but just got a particular aspect of my life which is a little bit out of control, which wants correcting. I go along with that. But whether we want the full force of what we're capable of getting, I don't know.
You can't actually tell somebody to talk about the difficulties they're experiencing. All you can do is collaborate with them.
In 6 weeks, Andy wants to move his family into number 4, Richard's other house. First, he needs to clear over 10 tons of papers. So he's hired a couple of lads to get the job done faster.
I put a bit of pressure on him to move things because we want to get in there and start decorating. I'm hoping that by doing it a bit quicker here, he might kind of let the momentum take him into his place as well.
Well, it'll be a long time before the bungalow is equally clear, because I'm more particular about what gets discarded there than what I am here.
Andy has been offered temporary storage in a local barn. So Richard's happy his papers will be kept safe and dry. But surprisingly, he's allowed Andy to clear most of number 4 unsupervised.
Because Richard's sort of allowed me to get on with it, which has been great, it's been a lot quicker. One of my friends that was helping me at the weekend said, don't tell him what you found, he said, because you can just get rid of it. But I kind of feel that he's trusted me. He'll be taking advantage, abusing the trust he's given in me to do this.
In total, 25 pallets of papers are brought to the barn.
It's the thought of having to move it all back down again. We've got to speak to Richard about how he wants to do that. He needs to start thinking about that as well.
To speed up work on the bungalow, Andy's organising another village working party for this weekend.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Yes.
So he's asked the key people who've got to know Richard to plan the day.
Priority job number 1, everyone thinks is your kitchen, and I think deep down you know that. And are you...
Whichever way we go down the hall, they're equally of equal importance, I would say, but I mean, you can obviously prioritise one against the other.
Sophie, the psychologist, has also come along. And she has some reservations about Andy's plans.
When first meeting Richard, there was a really big concern in my mind about the pressure. And the pressure was immense from lots of different sources, all wanting things to be better and wanting things to be fixed.
The only thing that concerns me is the quality of the end result.
I think there's some truth in actually sometimes what people need is somebody else to come in and say, right, come on, let's get on with this. The problem with that approach is that people can become more stuck, more entrenched in how they're behaving or what they're doing. So you might find that taking that kind of style with somebody makes the problem worse.
As it becomes more of a reality, you see him getting a bit more edgy and the anxiety going up a bit, but be interesting to see how far we get before he gets too anxious tomorrow and too concerned about things. It's that Jekyll and Hyde part of Richard there is that side of Richard that really wants to clear his kitchen, and then there's the other side that as soon as you get nearer to doing it, comes out and goes, whoa, whoa, slow down.
In Westcott, an army of locals have once again answered Andy Honey's call for help.
Hello. Oh, hello.
For Richard, the arrival of so many volunteers is always a mixed blessing.
Most of that lot can just go in the porch there. I know it's a bit mucky, but that will go in there. Just chuck it on the porch and...
The main aim for the day is to construct a temporary storage area that can hold all the papers and packaging from the kitchen.
Obviously people feel they want to help, and it does get the job done much quicker than I could do it. So from that extent, from that point of view, I am grateful, genuinely. But obviously the actual implementation of it on the day can be a bit stressful.
As the lean-to will take time to build, Andy wants to crack on and start clearing Richard's collection of milk bottles from the kitchen.
Do you want Paul and myself to go in and do the milk bottles ourselves, or do you want to come in and to help us with them?
You can't get at milk bottles on their own because they're all entrenched in everything else.
Are you feeling uncomfortable because you're stalling
No,
in
well,
the kitchen,
you're going ahead of yourself the whole time. We're concentrating on papers, not bottles. Before you know where you are, you'll be in the back hall wanting to get that out, and then you'll be going into the bedroom and pulling all that out.
No, all I want to do is what we spoke about was the kitchen. That's what we spoke about, and that's what we've talked about for a week.
Fine.
Yeah, but well, this is part of the kitchen. Let's just get in there.
Yeah. If it pleases you to take out half a dozen bottles, by all means do it, but you're not going to get the lot out.
What about up by the far wall? The window?
What is the point, just for the sake of a few bleeding bottles? That's what I'm saying. It's so difficult if you get at them when we get to them and not, you know, not trying to keep jumping the gun the whole time.
In the garden, over 25 people have given up their Saturday, including one particular resident who said last year that a match would be the best way to deal with Richard's problems.
As you know, a few months ago I was really quite sceptical about the whole thing, and I've gone from arsonist to aider. Richard is hopefully amenable to the whole thing. We're trying to give him his life back. He's the only one who can make that happen, but we can help him make that happen.
With the outside storage area ready, real progress can be made to clear the kitchen.
Oh, bloody hell.
Been looking for that for how long?
No, but it's not been washed through. It's still got one of the remains of soup in it. Would you believe? You can't believe that. I don't know how on earth that got through down to here without being washed up. God knows.
Oh. I'll hang on to that for a minute and I'll take that.
As work continues, not only does Richard rediscover his floor, but he also finds his long-lost pantry.
See, look, he's got the whole shop here. But you might need a little bit of a dust in there. That can down the bottom's not looking so well. It's empty. I don't know how that's empty. It's totally rotten away. Feel it, it's nothing, no weight in it.
By the end of the day, over 500 milk bottles are recovered from Richard's kitchen.
But I feel a bit sort of justified about saying let's get the milk bottles out now this morning. And there's still a load more, it's the best thing.
For everyone that's helped, the day has been a great success. But for Richard, it's more complicated.
I have to admit, it is psychologically difficult. But when you're forced, your hand is forced, and push comes to shove, you've literally got to get on with it and face it and deal with it. So it is difficult, but I've come to terms with that.
It's been 6 weeks since the working party, and there have been some major developments in Westcott.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
On my foot, on my foot.
Richard's other house has been transformed.
Well, we're sleeping here now. So I would say by the end of next weekend, we'll have everything in and we'll be pretty much there. Upstairs, we've got the bed in there now.
Done a good job. So I'm only too pleased for someone to get some benefit from it. So it's a good sort of a win-win situation, if you will.
With Andy and his wife, Lucy, moving in, the gossip and accusations have resurfaced.
People might think you've just been given a house. We haven't been given a house. We're renting a house, and actually most people that rent a house don't have to do the kind of excavation work that we had to do.
It's great having a community, but there is always gossip. All that bothers me is that it's right with Richard and it's right with our family.
Richard has continued to clear his kitchen. But despite everyone's best efforts, he's had a hoarding relapse.
This lamp, well, it was put out for collection yesterday morning, and I saw it there, and because I've got an exact same similar one, I thought I'd have it as a matching pair. It's got nice action, click and switch and dimming controls. Got that little click there now. Now I know I shouldn't. I get told off for doing it, but can't resist it sometimes.
Where do you nick that from? That isn't
I
something
didn't nick it, I asked the bloke.
Why have you brought more things in?
Because I've already got one like it in the bedroom. I got it as a second one.
What, in case the other one breaks?
No, because I can make two of them in case the other one was
But
shut.
listen, right, you don't
It's
need
like-
these things.
But
Why don't we clear your house before you put some new lights in?
But this quite it dissipates the light up from the ceiling. It's a different thing altogether than what I've got.
So you can put that and use it in your bedroom now?
No, I've plugged it in. It doesn't actually. He said it didn't actually work.
That's probably why he was getting rid of it.
Yes, never mind. I know that.
Let's chuck this out.
No.
You don't need it. You throw it out.
No, I'm not. I've only just brought it
I'll
in.
throw it out then.
It's just to wind me up.
No, you don't.
No.
Richard, you really don't need it.
Yes, I do. I don't. Come here. No. You can't do that. No. Yeah, it hasn't though. Yeah, I know you that's what you do.
You don't need it, Richard.
Yeah, well I do because
You need to get your
I need it to match the one I've got.
You need to clear your rooms first.
Yeah, well, I know that, but
That's another couple of quid from the scrap man.
no.
Andy can now get on with the job he came round to do and start clearing the bathroom. He's commandeered neighbour Paul Stacey,
If I get the other side.
and the first thing they need to tackle is the TV next to the basin.
Slowly. Because it's certainly much easier when there's two of you. It's too cumbersome out there.
Yeah, but look, it's going to fill up your kitchen.
Yeah, I don't want it outside because the atmosphere's bad.
The atmosphere. For the raining, you mean? Right, let's plug it in and see if it works.
Well, you can't because it's got no aerial feed. It won't work.
Where would you ever use this in the long term?
It'll be useful when I do some editing of various tapes I've got.
Right, so you're going to use it for editing.
Oh, yeah.
So you need a room in which to do editing.
Well, that's what
Can you see
ultimately,
that something needs to give? Where'd you nick these from, Richard? Because there's loads of them.
What? Oh, they're modem things. They're also dialers. They're very important.
They're very important.
Well, they're honest.
How's it going?
All
Not
right.
too bad.
A shower?
What a treat.
Oh, what have you got there? Oh, look at that. Oh, chocolate eclairs.
Superb.
Hey, shall I hand them to you?
No time like the present.
That's very nice.
You gonna have yours now?
Oh, what sweet wallpaper.
Yes, I know. What there is left of it.
So what room's this? Oh, the bathroom.
Yeah, bathroom, yes. Well,
At least you can get to the bath. It's a good start.
well, yes, but we can't begin to use it yet.
No.
You can.
Let's go on again.
No excuses now, Richard. Hey! There you go. Have the Lynx effect. They'll all come running for you.
It's the last thing I want.
So I'll cook you dinner tonight. You come round nicely showered.
Yes, I won't puke on it.
Come up too bad, darling, eh? It's a good day. Be interesting to see if he has a bath or shower before he comes up tonight. Although it's all come out here and needs to be sorted still, it's just another one down.
I believe you are expecting me for a dinner
Yeah.
engagement.
Come in. You do smell lovely, Richard, actually.
Oh, thank you.
Richard is slowly getting his life back. But from the outside, it doesn't look like anything's improved.
Okay, he's got this problem, but I still don't understand why he can't consider neighbours a bit more.
Of course, you've got those makeshift sort of tents in the garden to protect some papers and stuff like that. But it's still not going to be right.
I mean, it doesn't matter about what the village think about Richard and the mess that it's in. It's actually for Richard's sake that we're doing this, and I think that it should continue as far as Richard wants it to go.
Today, Sophie is visiting Richard to see how he's coping with the changes to his home. But Andy's concerned that she may derail the momentum he's built up.
Yeah, not bad. I read into bits where she sides with Richard that maybe I'm pushing too hard in her opinion. She tries to sow the seed and get him to do it on his own free will, whereas I try and physically push him along a bit more. He did make...
Sophie wants to see if Richard can function normally in his home and, most importantly, use his kitchen as a kitchen.
There you are.
That was clear.
Yes, I know. Isn't
You've
it
done a
marvellous?
lot.
Big improvement since you were last here, I would imagine.
Andy had said to me on the phone that you'd got access to the cooker.
When we left you the other Saturday, when we got to the cooker, the whole thing was clear. But as a fire risk, it was reduced, yeah, right down, whereas now it's all...
Oh, back up again, yeah.
What I suppose Andy's noticing is that is, you know, you could have easier access to it, but you're using it for storage.
Well, that's just, that happened, I used it last night, for example, so that's just happened today.
The sink, does it feel usable?
Well, yes, I mean, I have sort of been using it after a fashion, but...
How do you mean after a fashion?
Well, where there's a space, I've filled it, you know.
So what are you doing when you're using it? You're filling the bowl with water?
Well, no, that virtually hasn't changed much. I mean, that's in here to be done, to use. That'll be the first things to be done.
No longer got a draining board
Well,
on
that's...
this side.
Yeah, well, that's nothing to be... I mean, I've just brought this out here, like, this morning.
What then is easy to throw away?
Well, how can I describe genuine rubbish as rubbish? Things that are...
Well, have a look on here. What, is there anything on here that's genuine rubbish?
I mean, these types of detritus stuff is no good, so they would get thrown out quite easily.
You're going to get a bin bag, chuck it in a bin.
Most of the moment.
So what's difficult about putting that in a bin?
Well, there is no difficult, I just haven't got around to doing it yet, that's all.
Is it one of those more mundane things then? It
Yes,
feels
I
a bit
suppose so,
boring
yes. I mean, it's...
What's the point?
You've got various levels. I mean, some these items here might have a secondary use, which will...
Would that have a secondary use?
Well, it potentially might, in which case it would get thrown away when it's...
What would you use that?
When you're confronted with something which is really dirty, you use that to get rid of the real dirt, and then progressively use a slightly cleaner thing as you progress.
If we did have a bin here...
But just, Andy, just slow down a minute. Is there anything that's rubbish there?
Well, as I say, it's just bits and pieces that have accumulated. I mean, it's things like that, receipts I would put one side, but...
Can you see why it's difficult to have a bin? Because actually, when you look at this, from Richard's perspective, there isn't any rubbish here. This is all potential, useful stuff.
Well, albeit slightly, yes, I mean...
Whilst Richard won't let anything go...
Yeah.
Well, something like that.
We're going to really struggle to get there.
I can completely understand why it's frustrating for Andy. My sense from Richard is that Andy is pushing. Let's just throw things away. Let's just get a bin. All you've got to do is throw things away. And my sense is that Richard needs to articulate that he can't.
Despite the huge progress that's been made clearing the house, almost nothing has actually been thrown away. And with the use of the barn coming to an end, Andy will soon have 25 pallets of Richard's precious papers to return to the bungalow.
If I had to bring them back, I don't know. It would probably make me cry. I'm that tired at the moment. The thought of bringing them back, it would probably be the straw that broke the camel's back.
Richard has spent 9 months trying to deal with his hoarding problems, yet he hasn't thrown anything away, and he still sleeps in a chair. But he is having therapy.
Because on the one hand, you're saying, I'd like to get on top of things, I'd like to
Well, I
sort.
will. If I can get up in the morning and say, right, today I'm going to dispose of things, you'll find I should dispose of a ton of it. Because I've got myself into a bigger muddle than I should have done, it's harder to get back to a point where you can lead a normal life. But this business of crossing the divide between being a collector and a hoarder is quite a fine line, and I've strayed over it too far, and I'm now going to go back the other side, so I can live with my collection, in quotes, can't I?
with the lean-to full, Andy and Paul have put up a marquee in the garden, which means Richard has one less reason to slow the clearing process down.
This has been getting on my nerves, this whole bit. Trying to get through
Well,
it.
I'll tell you what, let's move it while it's getting on your nerves.
Well, yeah.
Just keep going.
Richard wants to concentrate on clearing the hall between the kitchen and bedroom, but Andy has a plan of his own.
I'm excited about the thought of him being in a bed tonight rather than that chair. Because when I go up to bed myself, I look out the landing window and you see his little light on. So I'm hoping that last night was his last night in that chair. So when we finish the hallway, why don't you want to go into the bedroom?
Somebody comes in there, like a bull in a china shop, and takes it all out. I lose track of it. It's too complex to do. It's too...
At the end of the day, if you could lie on that bed tonight, wouldn't that be lovely?
No, not necessarily.
Why not?
Well, because
just
to get there, it will be too much of a wrench, too quick.
Oh, well,
that's what I'm
let's see
saying.
how we get. But you never know.
Oh, yeah, the concept's all right. Sure.
The bedroom was originally Richard's parents', but for the past 7 years, it's been his only refuge.
Any sign of a bed yet?
Not yet, won't be long.
Well, he's standing on top of it.
Oh, he's on it now?
Below me somewhere.
You don't seem as enthusiastic as we are.
No, I'm not as enthusiastic as you are. No, quite.
Why is that then? It's your bed.
After 8 hours of back-breaking work, half the contents of Richard's bedroom has moved to the marquee. And Andy has reached his goal.
Right then, Squire, one bed for you. There's a lot of sweat that's gone into that. I can smell
very,
it.
very springy. Considering it had all the weight on it, you would have thought it would have taken the guts out of it. Oh, yes.
Just make sure you're up on time for your paper round in the
Yes,
morning.
that's a very important consideration.
I've only given him a bit of physical help and a bit of moral support. The rest of it's all come from him, so he needs to sort of pat himself on the back for that. Be interesting to see if he has a lot of stuff on his bed next weekend. I'll kill him if he does.
With the bed cleared, Richard has a basic, functioning home again. Less than a year ago, Richard was a recluse, overwhelmed by his condition. Today, he's celebrating his 62nd birthday with friends and new neighbours, the Honey family.
I don't remember having a birthday party as such, certainly not on this scale. It's very nice, though.
Andy and Richard have been through a lot together, but they still can't agree on what to do about the papers in the barn. For the first time, Andy takes Richard to see what used to be stored in number 4.
Nice day for it, Richard.
Yeah, absolutely, isn't it? God.
Another lovely sunny British day. So,
Oh, it's a big enough barn. Wow. Is this what it's... All this lot here?
all of that, right down
You're
around
joking.
the corner.
That all came out of number 4?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got a confession I can actually make to you. There was quite a few bits that are no good that went down the recycling skip.
Oh, well, obviously, yes.
So this wasn't all of it.
I think that I handled each and every paper. Well, having thought about it long and hard, I've concluded that I can let them go rather than keep hold of the papers and scan them in as I propose to do. And that's 5 or 10 years potentially wasted when I could be doing other more useful things.
I'm just smiling because I'm happy that they're going. You're not changing your mind, are you? You've got a worried look on your face.
I can't believe that when you see them all out like this, crikey, there's a lot, isn't there?
Yeah, there is a lot.
Andy found an archive company that wants every single paper. So Richard's prized possessions are going somewhere they'll be used.
This is it, Richard? Feeling all right now? It's a big time?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just...
Apprehensive?
No, no, no. I think that this huge truck is here as a result of my effort. It's quite... It takes a bit of getting used to getting my head around it, you know?
Richard will take a logical answer and a logical discussion, and then the other part of him, the hoarding head, sort of stops him doing that. So I just try to influence
the good part.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't come across as bullying. It's just more encouragement. Like I said, he's got to make the decisions at the end of the day, otherwise he's not going to be happy with it.
The trouble is that having made a decision and you're not happy with it, you then keep on until I make the decision that you want me to reach.
Well, maybe. I think the psychology is slowly having an impact, and hopefully that's what we need for the long, permanent fix, if you like, if there is a permanent fix.
Letting the papers go marks a significant change in Richard's thinking.
The longest journey starts but with the first step, so you've got to make a start, and so what we've achieved, or what has been achieved in the last 6 months, has been quite considerable.
Whatever decision he makes, whether he's done enough for now or this is going to be the beginning of more change, I think he is in such a better place. He describes his life as being so much improved that I'm very optimistic about how that's going to be for him.
Seeing him now, probably one of the best sort of things I've ever done, really, in the most worthwhile sense. Well, in my mind, I think there's going to be another tough 6 months. And there's a lot of practical work still to be done.
There'll always be an element of hoarding within me, but given the experience that I've gone through, one which I'm determined will be kept in check in future.
Well, support information is available at channel4.com/4goesmad, where you can get a deeper understanding of the condition by taking a trip inside the mind of someone with OCD. Next tonight, a 5-year-old girl's rushed to resus after her skirt catches fire. 4's documentaries continue with 24 Hours in A&E.